I have this saying I live by. If you don't sacrifice for your dream, Dave, your dream becomes your sacrifice.
What does it take to close $500 million in sales and then walk away from it all to build something bigger? Today, we sit down with Julian Reading, entrepreneur, behavioral science expert, and founder of Sales Journey and the new AI-powered platform Sales Commander. Julian breaks down the mindset shift that separates top performers from everyone else, how to crush imposter syndrome, and why building a revenue engine matters more than having a great product. Whether you're a founder trying to get traction, a sales pro looking to level up, or someone ready to make a bold move, this episode is for you. As always, if you found value from this content, please like and subscribe.
All right, Julian Reading, welcome to Beyond Fulfillment.
Dave, it's a real honor. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really looking forward to talking with you.
Absolutely, Julian, and I appreciate you being here, and I can tell just by your energy, your enthusiasm, your excitement for what you're doing, this is going to be a great episode.
I hope so. Live with passion every day, Dave.
Yes, sir. So, Julian, you are the founder of Sales Journey, which is a sales training and consulting firm, and you've been on that entrepreneurial path for over a decade, and now you've got some really new, exciting businesses you're launching as well, which we'll get into. But you have quite an interesting story how you became an entrepreneur. If you could, for our audience, could you just talk about your backstory and how you got here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off in software sales in the 90s, and I had a fantastically successful software career. I hold 2 masters in behavioral science and neurolinguistic programming, and I sold just over $500 million worth of software in 11 years because I sold as a system, and I was able to achieve, Dave, at levels of people that were actually better salespeople than me, because I had a process, I knew what I was doing, I understood people, and I worked sales as a project. And I then took the natural step into leadership and everything, but I wanted to help more people. And one thing that was my transition point, which I encourage anyone that is in companies to do, the second you step away and it's on you, the level of creativity, the level of purpose, and the level of drive goes another level. I am a far more talented individual than I was when I was locked down in corporate. So the whole passion for me was actually in helping people. And yeah, I mentioned earlier about Ikigai, and mine is to help. And I love being able to coach and help people. And it's one of the reasons the new business Sales Commander has been developed as well.
Okay. All right. So we'll get into that, but let's just talk about when you went off on your own. And that's interesting too. That might be the first time I've ever heard someone put it like that, where you say your creativity goes to another level. And it seems obvious, right? When it's all on you and you're the entrepreneur. But so after such like a successful sales career in corporate, right? You're a top performer, you're making good money, you have the clout and the security, so to speak, of doing well at these large companies. What made you go out on your own?
I felt that I wasn't fulfilling my true potential. And what I meant by this was that when I got into helping people, because the part of being a sales leader, a sales director, a CRO I loved, was just working in the deals with salespeople and helping them identify what they need to do next. Because as I said, I've got a very methodical approach that works. So that was a massive passion of mine. But when you're locked down in a corporate, Dave, you kind of have to think about a lot of things. Let's say me and you set up a business now. Would we say, right, the most important thing is let's have lots of politics. Let's have our team not tell us the truth. We would never set up a business our most runs, would we? So when you remove yourself of that, all of a sudden you're freed up. So my help went to a different level. As I said, I'm massively passionate about psychology, about human beings. And you find that there is, and when I say about my potential, it's not talking about my ability, it's talking about how I was going to make myself really happy. How I felt, and sorry to use the word, but fulfilled in terms of, I get great satisfaction. Nothing better when someone calls me, Dave, and they go, Julian, I smashed that deal. It was $2 million. I've bought myself a new BMW or something like that. You know, it's that whole purpose and drive that really, really gets me. And I've got my wall of champions over there that's all the millionaires that I've made that I'm super proud of. because sales does give you, done well, the financial freedom to explore and move and operate. I was lucky, my journey into being that, I made a lot of money out of sales, but that wasn't the main thing. My opportunity was to help more people. And that's what I wanted to do. That is my major drive. And if you knew anyone who knew me, they'd say the same. I'm always the go-to person, and I love that. But I love helping salespeople, and I do a lot of work free of charge. I do a lot of work with tech startups, Dave, and it's something I'd love to talk about a bit later. But most tech startups fail not because of the product they create, it's because they don't create a revenue engine. And that I love helping people. I'm working with a lot of smaller companies that I do free of charge now to build a revenue engine and get them going and get them actually performing. I've actually written my own sales methodology as well called PRISM that helps structure an absolute robust sales methodology within it. Because once again, it's not the technology that fails, it's the ability to execute. And I love it when I see them successful.
Okay. All right. And just to expand on that point too, right? Because I'm a founder of a logistics company, right? So I'm publicly building, so I get pitched constantly by all types of salespeople, and I see a lot of people doing sales wrong, right? And so you mentioned sales prevents such an opportunity for freedom and income and enjoyment if it's done right. So, I mean, from your perspective, being in the field and training so many salespeople, why do so many people get it wrong?
Because they think they're selling a product. They don't realize they're selling to a human being. Let me explain what I mean, Dave. No corporate has ever bought a piece of technology or any service. They buy from a person, they buy from us. They buy from the level of expectation of outcome. One of the key changes that I make, see, if you know anything about neuroscience, feature function is only one element of how your brain makes a decision. You need more information to make a decision. And one of the first things I do is stop salespeople selling in companies that are failing. With bad salespeople, they talk at. What I always say is, so I'm meeting you today, Dave. You've got your own life. You've got a family. You've got pressure. You've got your podcast, your business, everything. You've got all these things that are driving you as a human being to actually attach to people and have empathy. Because I still believe people buy off people. We're not quite there with AI as yet in terms of big multi-million-dollar ticket sales. But that emotional connection is really important. And I teach people to prepare. The first change I make, prepare for the outcome of what the person you're meeting is expecting to achieve. Not what you want to achieve. What do you want to achieve by meeting me, Dave? Why are you giving up an hour for me? Why are we talking? Think about that. I've got a ton of notes down here, by the way, that I prep for our meeting. Because I'm always trying to think, how can I add value to that person sitting across from me? So the first thing, would you believe that 72% of tech sales are lost in discovery? Do you know why? Because people talk at. How many people do you feel really understand you and connect with you who you sell to, Dave? I would say there's a handful of great salespeople that do that. But they've all got this trait, and this trait is actually empathy and understanding that that person has pressure. There's a decision to be made. Because the major paradigm shift I make, Dave, with everyone I coach is you are selling a decision, not a product or service. You are selling for that person to say, yeah, I'm going to go with Dave. It's quite an interesting way of looking at it, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So you're in corporate, you have this successful career, but you realize you're not fulfilled. You want to go out on your own and really build something. So how do you start that process? What was that like?
Well, I sat down and I thought, right, how can I be disruptive? I don't want to be a Miller Hyman selling Spin, Taz, Challenger, Richardson. I don't want to be any of those. I wanted to be different. So what I wanted to do, Dave, was help people understand how I was successful. The first thing I was going to do was design a training program. And this training program would be 50% structure and strategy and 50% behavioral. So I teach people about the core human needs, what change means, what persuasion is. I teach the emotion of human interaction, but I then tie that into a methodology. It doesn't exist anywhere in the world, what I do. So I wanted to write something that was disruptive, that when the salespeople sit on my course, I wanted them to say, Julian, that was the best sales course I've ever sat on. So my whole goal at the start, and I locked myself here in my world headquarters for over a month, writing a whole program that was based on this mix of all the things that I did to be successful. And the difference with me is that everyone brings a deal. into their training. I worked for a big tech company called Elastic, and I trained up over 1,000 people there. And one person sitting in France used my methodology, and 6 weeks later, he upsold the deal that paid for the training for everybody in the whole company, including all their expenses, in one deal. That I'm massively proud of, because my system works. But the thing he said to me was, I changed who I was as a salesperson. I'm not selling a product, I'm selling an outcome. So he started to move towards this more decision-making mentality. And that was the outcome I wanted. So I wanted a disruptive business. I didn't want to be the same. I wanted to be the person that the sales team would remember, and they'd start using my methodologies. And that took a long time, because you're writing it yourself, Dave, in isolation. So it really took me a time, and it took me a challenge, and every day, and I was constantly coaching it back to myself. So that built the training, and then I built a whole program of consultative support afterwards to actually implement and embed it. Because here's the thing with sales training, it's not fixed in 2 days. There's got to be continual coaching. And I would argue at the moment that there's not, that most businesses that I see are struggling because of first line management not being able to coach the sales process. But
Okay.
It's a massive leap to go and do it by yourself when it's all on you.
Absolutely. All right. So great insight on how you developed your core program. And then once you had that built, what was the process like of taking that to market?
42 cold calls in the space of 14 weeks. Literally sat here, hammered the phone, I bought a list, I called everyone I know. I positioned myself on LinkedIn. I sent emails every single day, but everything was personalized. One of my customers, who's the 4th biggest tech company in the world, took me 102 cold calls to get into. You cannot replace tenacity. I was talking at an event the other night, Dave, and someone asked me, I want to start my own business. What's the key thing you're going to what would you tell me? And I said, the key thing is tenacity. You've got to be driven. You've got to be tenacious. No is just feedback. It doesn't matter. And you've got to go, and you've got to go, and you've got to go again. You don't accept no, and you keep driving. Because if you don't, you have to work long hours. I was starting at 6 in the morning and finishing at 10 at night. I'm calling my contacts from Australia and Singapore from 6 to 8. I'm going to Europe 8 till 4, and then I'm going to the Americas 4 till 10. And every day, and I have this saying I live by. If you don't sacrifice for your dream, Dave, your dream becomes your sacrifice. So that level of effort, that level of energy, that level of charge, and do you know what? I'm going to do this. That's how I started it. Because failure wasn't an option. I don't fail. And I don't mean that as arrogance. And one of the things that I believe passionately is bringing belief back into people. I do a lot of personal coaching as well, Dave. So I believe I am the best in the world at what I do. Would I say it out loud? No. But it's my belief, it's my value, and I hold myself accountable to it. So when I set up Sales Journey, I had all those values that I wanted to create, and I hold myself accountable for it. So it's only me that can control my future. It's only me that's competing with me, right? And that was one of the key things. So you've got to have tenacity, and you've got to have this purpose and drive that makes you successful, because the majority of startups fail.
Yeah, and so let me just ask you. So that's an incredible amount of cold calls over that period of time. So as you're going through that process, because again, right, so many people, and I talk to as well, that are in corporate and they have this drive and desire, and either it doesn't go their way, or they give up, or they don't never get started, or whatever. So you made the decision, you went out on your own, and then, like you said, that tenacity really carried you through. Is that what you expected going in, or was it a lot harder than you thought it was going to be?
A lot harder. But being honest, is why I'm so proud of what I built, Dave, is because of how hard it was to get. There was a great speech given by Kennedy about going to the moon. He says, we choose to go to the moon and do these other things because they're hard, not because they're easy. And that's a value I pick as well, is that I chose to do it because it was hard, but I didn't expect it to be that hard. You really do. I always say you kind of leave yourself on the table at the end of the day. You're like, wow, you've given so much, and you're constantly chasing, constantly pushing. But that sacrifice is worth it if the purpose is there at the end. But it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, because all of a sudden I've got to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and I haven't got a wage coming in. And you can't prepare for that. But you have to accept that as a challenge. So what do you do? And if you saw my desk, I've got all these sayings I've got written down. Whenever I win a deal, I go, what's next? So I've just won one today, literally just a couple of hours ago, that I beat the second biggest training company in the world to this deal, which I love, by the way. I love the whole competition side. But it's like, what's next? Okay, that's great. I've done that, but what's next? What am I going to do next? And being a founder of any business, you can't settle. You've just got to keep driving and what's next, and keep that energy and that tenacity to be successful. Because it is harder than you think it's going to be. Unless you're extremely lucky and someone gives you a massive contract. If you know anyone giving out contracts, Dave, please put them my way. But you know what I mean by that? It's so hard. And that first contract, I've got it signed on the wall over there. It was massive. It was massive for me. That's my business, and everyone's doing my stuff. It was huge, huge.
Okay, and let me also ask you too, because we hear, and I've interviewed several on, of some of the most successful people, that I've ever come across, and it's universal that there's imposter syndrome, no matter what level of success, right? So, as you're going through that process and you're working these, 16-hour days of straight cold calling, and it's a lot harder than you thought it was. What's the mental conversation like in terms of what your mind is coming at you with?
Reset. Love what you said. Love what you said, Dave, because do you know every successful person I've worked with has got imposter syndrome. I read a comment the other day, and please take this as men. It said it's incredible how the most intelligent people doubt themselves, but the most stupid people don't. And I kind of thought that's quite funny because it is kind of true. But I work with some of the most brilliant people, and I bought a Ferrari at 28, Dave. And I remember standing in the showroom going, this isn't right. This can't be for me. How has this happened? And you do... I think you naturally... And especially when you go and do it by yourself, you do doubt. You have a lot of doubts. But there's a thing that I teach called limiting beliefs. And what I do, and this is coaching I give to every founder, you will have negative doubts about everything. This is fact. If you don't, something is wrong. If you are a smart, intelligent, driven person, you don't doubt yourself, something is wrong. You're either lying or delusional. So what I talk about is limiting beliefs. So when I get those, the first thing I do is look for facts and evidence. If there is facts and evidence, then I need to change my process or my procedure, because we all have doubts. All of us have doubts. All of us have an element of imposter syndrome. If you've been successful, you have it. But what you do is you quickly reset. This is why I said reset. If I've got a doubt, I then search for truth. So I haven't got enough customers coming in. It's going to fail. Is that a limiting belief? Absolutely, it's a limiting belief, because what I've got to do is I've got to get on the phone, I've got to get on LinkedIn, I've got to get on Instagram, and I've got to make things happen. I have the power to change that emotion. There's things you can't change, but that you can. So I do a whole, if you're ever interested, I can give you another lecture on this, but it's a whole thing on our belief system, because understanding who we are and resetting who we are, this is a lot of the personal coaching I do. And I reset how people see their own reward framework, because how we control dopamine in our body, Dave, is critical for success and driving away those negative thoughts, because those negative thoughts are driven by a lot of cortisol and stress and your amygdala working overtime. This is all about resetting, searching for truth, and going again. Always have that purpose, always have that goal as well. It's a longer lecture than an hour, that one, Dave.
Okay. Wow. All right. So appreciate that. All right. So you built up my sales journey, right, over the course of the last decade. And like you said, you're working with some of the largest tech companies in the world in terms of training their salespeople and whatnot. You turned that into a very successful company. Also, along the way, you've written several books.
5 books now, yes, and thank you for mentioning that. I'm super passionate about my books. Just connect with me on LinkedIn, or drop me a note, julian.reading@salescommander.com, and I'll send you a link to them. Do you know what I'm passionate about them? The first of all, Dave, they've sold in now 36 countries. I've helped a lot of people around the world. They're simple to read, no more than 120 pages, but here's the thing. Every single dime, cent, yen, dollar, pound goes to my children's hospice. They specialise in end-of-life care for 6 months to 16 years, and it's called Chestnut Tree House in Arundel in the beautiful West Sussex in England. And it's such a wonderful thing, because here's the thing, Dave. We don't have problems. We just have opportunities. When you go there, you have problems. You can't fix those. All we have every day is opportunity in this wonderful world to go and be successful. So I'm passionate about raising money for them because it's a wonderful charity and the work they do there is unbelievable. So I would be so grateful for anyone that's listening to this in your audience or your connections if they check out one of my books. I've just released my new book, PRISM Selling, which is a culmination of my life's work. It's a methodology for founders to start winning, to build a revenue engine. A revenue engine is critical no matter how good your product is. So I'd love people to check that out. And my last book is called Selling with Psychology. It explains how the brain emotionally makes a decision. And once you read that, you'll never sell the same again. Is that enough of a teaser for you to go by?
Yeah, love that, love that. We'll put all those in the show notes for everyone so they can check those out also.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
And so let's talk about this new business that you have coming out, Sales Commander. Tell us about that.
I'm super passionate about it and I will keep it canned. But I created this AI sales coach that's me. So it's me sitting with you, if you want that, every day of your life. Because here's the thing, mate. Sales funds freedom. Sales is the one profession in the world where it doesn't have any prejudice. You can do it or you can't. And if you do it well, it builds an extraordinary life. I come from a massive impoverished background. I come from no money whatsoever. And I have this extraordinary life due to this wonderful profession called sales. And I have a passion to change our profession into a practice. So Sales Commander is an intuitive AI platform that coaches you through a framework called MEDPIC that is one of the most successful frameworks in the world that fails because people don't know how to coach it. So you put the details of your deal into this framework and it advises you on what you're doing right, first of all. And then it points out your gaps. It tells you what not to do. And then it coaches you on how to engage your next best selling action with every customer. It has a functionality in it where you plan your target. You put your target into it and it tells you all the activities you need to be doing and builds your social content for you. It's got an account planning tool that finds all the right people in your account to talk to and builds connection requests and does everything for you. It is, for me, the culmination of my life's work. I'm going to be talking about it for years to come because this is my legacy. This is what's going to define me. But the greatest thing it's going to do is give every salesperson a structure and strategy for financial freedom. Because just by doing, you see, here's the thing, Dave. Competition now is other salespeople selling in your accounts. Especially in my world of technology. Technology is amazing. You and I can build an app in 5 seconds on Lovable, and we couldn't have done that 5 years ago. Every piece of technology is wonderful and amazing, so the person makes the difference. And that is across all the top tech companies I work with. All the great salespeople are the ones that make the difference. They're the ones that follow this strict structure and process to be successful. So I've built a tool that mirrors and reps what I do and what every great salesperson does. And you can interrogate it. And I'm calling it, and with a smile, I'm calling it anti-CRM. Because with customer resource management, every time you put something in, you get nothing out. And typically management use it to beat you up. That's why salespeople keep information from it. With my tool that I've built, Sales Commander, every time you put something in, it gives you value out. So for example, if you and I were going into a multi-million-dollar negotiation, it coaches us and preps us for it. So we plan out the meeting, it plays the role of the procurement officer and it will ask the questions that a procurement officer will ask against a contract. And it preps you for your trades, it preps you to negotiate, and it preps you to close. So you actually practice with a world-class coach every single piece of the sales interaction. And it gives you a 7:30 plan all the time as what you're doing in the next 7 days, what you're doing in the next 30 days. Because one thing I'd like to position with you, Dave, and anyone you talked about sales, please say this. I'll ask you a question. What are our two certainties in life, mate? If I said to you, what's our two certainties in life? You'd tell me from the States, you'd say?
Death and taxes.
Death and taxes, always. I'll tell you another one. Our certainties are target and number of days to hit it. That's all. Because every year you reset to zero, you go from hero to zero at the end of the financial year. You've got around about 230 days to hit your target. So every sales day is a currency. So my whole system that I've designed, it actually structures daily activities for you to advance your sale, because sales is all about advancement. And I teach people a unique way to run discovery to massively, massively reduce deal cycle time. And this is what I've built in for all founders as well. People who are technologists that don't really understand how to build a revenue engine. A whole system to just follow to create world-class salespeople literally overnight. Where I've got this piloted, revenue has shot up massively. I don't want to start doing this whole thing of giving you numbers and stuff. But literally everyone who sees it goes, wow. Because what it does is, for the most average salesperson, it coaches them every day. And because it's coaching every day, their skill set improves. So they're always executing, always got a plan, and it says whether you're behind, in front, and constantly coaching you on what is the next best sales action to do. And this is why I'm so passionate about Sales Commander, because I can help thousands and thousands of people every day, which is my absolute purpose. And I can change lives, and that power is enormous. I can't change lives in terms of anything to do with health or anything like that, but what I can do is make them successful at their job. Because here's the thing I've seen, Dave, and please comment as well. Your job affects everything. It affects how you are with your relationships, your family, how you do in life, and they all feed each other. Now, the thing I can do is create successful sales teams, make revenue predictable, and make businesses better practice in places. And I love that. And I see so many people that I've picked up, and I coach loads of failing salespeople, and their whole aura changes as they become more successful just by following the process.
Love that. Okay, and one more question for you, Julian. Given your whole sales journey, your entrepreneurial journey, the success that you've built with this company, and now these new products and this new company you're launching, looking back on all of it, what's been the best part of this entrepreneurial journey for you?
Oh, honestly, without a shadow of doubt, having those handcuffs taken off me. Being able to say every day what's the right thing for me to be doing. Being able to really control my own destiny, because I literally changed as a human being the moment I empowered myself. More creative, 100% more creative, being able to design all the things that I wanted to, that I felt could help, that wouldn't be policed, wouldn't be upsetting this person or upsetting that person, because I had a real passion about what I wanted to do. But the biggest thing for me, and I'm pleased, I'm actually quite a humble man if you know me. I have a mass sense of pride in what I've built. You know, this is my company. This is what I've built from nothing, from my world headquarters, which is my log cabin in my backyard. And I built this out of nothing. All the methodologies I built from my own brain. And I've got people being successful, and I've helped so many people. And I've got a legacy. I'm not just a number in a company. I've made a difference. And I've got quite a, and this isn't me preaching. I've got quite a strong faith, and I believe passionately on my day, I will be able to demonstrate that I've helped more people than my talent actually was. So yes, I've had a wonderful life, and I think I'm really good at what I do. But I've helped a lot of people with that as well. I haven't just taken it on myself. I've been able to help so many people, and as you might have guessed, it's kind of a driver for me.
Love that. Okay, all right, and Julian, if people are hearing this and they're inspired and they want to learn more about what you do, your products, your services, your company, what's the best way people can find you online?
Just connect with me on LinkedIn. I can be found on LinkedIn, or you can send me an email to Julian, Julian, .reading, which is READING, @salescommander.com. I offer free advice for anyone. I'm always happy to help people. I'm excited to show people Sales Commander because it's game changing and there's nothing like it out there. But just drop me a line. I love connecting with people. I love talking sales. I love, as I said, nothing's better than getting involved in a deal and helping someone win, because you've changed an outcome. So anyone needs my help or support, connect with me. Happy to share. I've got lots of stuff to send you as well if you need help with structures and sheets and my books and stuff. So would love to talk with anyone, Dave.
All right, and we will link all that in the show notes for everyone. All right, well, Julian, thank you so much for taking the time to be here and sharing all this incredible wisdom from your journey with our listeners. We greatly appreciate it.
Well, Dave, actually, the thanks is from me. I've been really excited to meet you and talk with you. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for inviting me. Honestly, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.